Almost 3 years ago, on these steps, Greater Manchester Police had to announce to the world what had then become clear: that Manchester had suffered one of the worst terrorist attacks this country had ever experienced, and that 22 lives were suddenly and brutally taken in a barbaric act. Those lost have left behind heartbroken friends and family. Their loss is sorely felt by many, and for many, the pain of that loss will never, ever heal. There were almost 1,000 people injured, some incredibly seriously, and many will still suffer with deep physical and psychological injuries, which will remain with them for years, if not forever. Salman Abedi exploded the bomb which caused this devastation, but people now know that this horrific attack was planned with his brother Hashem Abedi, who we now see convicted of the 22 murders and the attempted murder of all those who were injured. Hashem Abedi, whilst in Libya at the time of the attack, is every bit as guilty as his dead brother, and this is reflected in the judgment we see today. He was his brother's driver and the quartermaster who sourced the deadly materials. He was also the munitions technician in those months running up to the attack. During the police interview, he professed not only his innocence, but his desire to help police with their inquiries. Then at his trial, he offered no testimony in his own defence. In the last few weeks, Abedi absented himself from court. Such was the contempt he showed for the proceedings and all those so deeply affected by this cowardly act. We're very pleased with this verdict and we thank the jury for their deliberations. This was a huge investigation. In the actual trial itself, over 1,000 statements were submitted and over 800 exhibits, and that itself is only a portion of the material gathered during an investigation which lasted almost 3 years and which included the successful extradition of a murderer from a country in the middle of a civil war. And so this verdict marks the end of a very long investigation by police and CPS, and we know many will welcome it, but we also know that even this will do little to ease the pain caused to so many people. It is understandable that many people will want more answers. How and why this came to happen will be amongst the many questions they ask. And so we now turn to the public inquiry, which is set to begin in a few months' time. The inquiry under the chair, Sir John Saunders, will be extensive and detailed and is the proper place to further understand these terrible events. Greater Manchester Police will support the inquiry in every way it can. When this happened almost 3 years ago, it shook Manchester deeply. There was an outpouring of grief which spread across the country and far afield abroad. From that terrible day, our thoughts have always been with the families of those murdered and all those injured, and our actions have always sought to put them first. This will continue to be our priority as we move towards a public inquiry scheduled in a few months' time. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. We're all living through a difficult time right now, but it's particularly so for the families of those who lost loved ones at the Manchester arena and those living with injuries ever since. There hasn't been a day that has gone by since the 22nd of May 2017 when they haven't been living with the pain of what happened, and of course we know that those scars will never ever heal for them. So we think of them today. We thank Greater Manchester Police and particularly the family liaison officers for the way they have supported the families throughout the 3 years since this appalling atrocity took place. The way in which the investigation was conducted was exemplary, and there were people in the building behind me who worked in a diligent and highly professional way to bring the investigation together, and I would like to thank each and every one of them on behalf of the people of Greater Manchester. Of course, this was a highly complex case which involved an extradition process, and I know how difficult that was for the officers concerned, but of course also supported by people within the government. Today I do want to thank particularly Assistant Chief Russ Jackson, who has led from the front, and without whose work we would not have seen this day happen, but through him all of his team that worked to support him. I want to pay a particular tribute to the former Security Minister, now Defence Minister, Secretary, the Right Honourable Ben Wallace, who provided huge support to me and to colleagues throughout Greater Manchester and was instrumental in securing this positive outcome today. Finally, I would just want to say that justice can never bring anybody back, but it does help. And today, I believe the people of all communities across Greater Manchester will unite in relief and satisfaction at this verdict. I would like to thank them all for the way that they pulled together in May 2017 and showed a resilience and a solidarity on a scale that we've never seen before. That is what makes this place we call home a truly incredible place, because of that depth of community spirit. And it's that same spirit that will bring us through the times that we're living in through right now. So I would like to thank everybody for the support that they've shown for the families. We all think of the families this evening and those living with their injuries. We know that a difficult road lies ahead for all of them, but we send to them a message of love and solidarity this evening, and all of us can at least say tonight that justice has been done and that somebody has been held accountable for this atrocious attack on the heart of our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. As Andy said, this has always been about the families of those who were killed and injured, and today is about them as well. But we want to show our support for them and how we feel at the outcome of this verdict today. And it's actually quite hard to find the words to express it, because pleased doesn't come anywhere near it, but there's a profound sense of gratitude and satisfaction that at least this degree of justice can be achieved for those people. I want to pay tribute also to Assistant Chief Russ Jackson and Detective Chief Superintendent Simon Barraclough, who've led the over 100-strong team of police officers and police staff, civilian experts from Greater Manchester Police and from colleagues elsewhere who've given their support. And I've seen at close quarters the meticulous, detailed, dedicated and professional way in which they've been absolutely personally and professionally committed to trying to do everything they could to make sure that the right verdict was achieved today. And I hope at some point, not today, but some point, the story can be told of just the length they went to pursue, to capture, to protect, and then be able to present to the jury the forensic evidence that has largely been responsible for the ability of the jury to convict today. I also want to thank the jury, because at a time of national crisis, when all of us are worried about our families, about the future, they have had to put those thoughts aside for a considerable period of time. They've had to give their dedicated commitment and focus and consideration to a wholly different set of issues, and they've done so on our behalf, and I think performed a very great public service for us today. So I do want to thank them. And last but not least, I think today obviously will resonate with hundreds of people affected directly and indirectly by the events of May 2017. Not that they will have forgotten it, but today will bring that to the fore, I think, with even greater resonance. And I just wanted to say to those people that the services that we've put in place to get support are still there, and if they feel the need to access those services, they can still do so. Thank you very much.